everybody, and welcome back to the end. We have a lot to really cover, so let's just get right down to it with the Lesser Amethyst Spellstone. Now, this is the Warlock Spellstone. It's a four-cost spell that has lifesteal and deals 3 damage to a minion. You take damage from your own cards to upgrade. Now, this can be either the card has a damaging effect, or if somehow your own card attacks you. But basically, if your own card damages you, this upgrades. Okay? The first upgrade, it upgrades to Amethyst Spellstone. That it has lifesteal, deal 5 damage to a minion. And the final upgrade is lifesteal with deal 7 damage to a minion. Now, this card is great. Just looking at the effects right off the bat, lifesteal, deal 3 damage to a minion is okay. There are some better removal spells, really, for Warlock, but this is actually right in line with kind of what we expect from his damage spell, especially with lifesteal. So that means right off the bat, the effect is decent. And then the effect is just awesome, is just incredible in the first upgrade, and then when you fully upgrade it, it can kill pretty much anything in the game and you gain life, especially if you have some spell damage minions or effects on the field. So, I mean, this is a great removal card. It gains you some life, it deals some damage, and, you know, yes, you're going to have to take damage from cards to upgrade it, but you're Warlock. You're going to be doing that anyway. Control Warlock has several cards in the standard Control Warlock deck that actually damages the hero just by playing them. So this isn't that much of a leap, to be completely honest. You're pretty much going to easily upgrade this in Warlock, unless you're having a deck that's not going to damage you. And even at its lowest tier, it's decent. So yeah, this is going to see play. This is potentially meta-defining.
I'm going all in on the ideal that this card is a meta-definer. Look, Warlock is that class that needs healing, because it taps itself out. So it's just like, tap, ow, that hurts. Well, you know what? I'm gonna just keep owing myself to be able to draw. Well, now that I've gotten that out of the way, just heal back, especially when you target just a minion. So I'm like, yeah, definitely in that meta-defining slot area. Kobold Librarian, 1 cost, 2/1, Battlecry, draw a card, deal 2 damage to your hero. So we're gonna give you your hero power as a 1-drop. Okay. Zoo Warlock. As I sit here and wave my arms, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it where it belongs. Meta-defining. Bulb.
Yeah, pretty much every Warlock, or most Warlock decks will run this, simply because you're essentially using your hero power for 1 and putting down a 2/1 on the board. That's incredibly powerful, especially for a common, which means pretty much everyone's going to have this card, and you're going to see it all over the place. Plus, the effect will actually help power up your Amethyst Spellstone. But just in general, even if you didn't have the Amethyst Spellstone, being able to plop down a 2/1 for 1 and use your hero power for 0 mana, essentially, is incredibly powerful, especially in Warlock, with that draw capability, with a lot of people say is the strongest hero power in the game. Yeah, this card's going to see play. Definitely. Up next, we have Vulgar Homunculus. It's a 2-cost, 2/4 demon with taunt and the battle cry. Deal 2 damage to your hero. Guys, let's just admit, this one's going to see play as well. You know, yeah, it has the downside of dealing 2 damage to your hero, but as we're seeing, Warlock can start to use that as a boon if they have the right tools on hand. And a 2/4 taunt for 2 is actually pretty powerful. It's a demon, so it can come back. It can be powered up with the Gul'dan demon cards, or it can come back with the Death Knight. So this is a very strong card. It will see play.
Oh yeah, like Bulb just At this point, I might just let you just host this whole thing and just go, yup.
Preach, brother!
Just if anything, just you've got it when it comes to Vulgar Homunculus. If anything, I can see it going in Zoo because it also potentially helps with just like blocking other aggro decks from being able to just knock you on your feet. So yeah, Vulgar Homunculus, I really like it. Next up down the pipeline, we have Geosculptor Yip. 8 cost, 4/8 warrior legendary. At the end of your turn, summon a random minion with the cost equal to your armor up to 10. Well, okay. I mean, like, I can see this going in maybe definitely control warrior if it can get up on its feet. So it's just like I see it as playable. And that's about as far as I can really go with it because it's just you're summoning a random minion of X cost where X is your armor. Now if you can keep your armor above the 10 area for a good bit, like I know you can in wild, like no doubt in my mind. But as far as standard goes, it's up in the air. Bulb?
Yeah, I think this definitely can see play. Warrior definitely has the tools to basically get a lot of armor, if they so desire. So I mean, you can definitely use this. Now the question is, will warrior players or will players use this or not? And I'm on the fence about it. I mean, definitely I'm interested, and I'm trying to come up with what I can do to just take advantage of this card. But just I looked at this one. Ooh. What can I do with you? I don't even care if I win. I just want to see what happens. So I guess it just depends on how the players gravitate towards building their decks. Because Warrior, even in Standard, has ways to get their armor up and control the board and get their armor up to a high enough level that I think that Geosculptor Yip would be viable. But again, in a lot of warrior decks, do you want to put a card like Geosculptor Yip in when you might just want to just control the board or just, play other minions? And so I guess that's going to be the big question. I do think that people will try, and I do think that if they can nail the deck ratio, the deck build, which I think chances are it will happen. We've had a lot of cards where we said if they can nail it, this will be good. And it's a big question mark. This one's, I think, not a question of if, but when. I think someone will nail. This will essentially be like kind of a meme card until someone actually nails the deck, and it will probably happen within the first 2 months or so. Someone will figure it out. Someone will nail the deck, and Geosculptor Yip will essentially be part of a core warrior deck. What kind of deck that ends up appearing as is up in the air. But I do think this will see play. I actually think that it'll see a lot of play, but only when somebody cracks the code on this one. But I'm definitely interested in it, and if I get it, I'm definitely going to mess around with it. So next up, we have Skull of the Man'ari, which is the Warlock legendary weapon. It's a 0/3 with the effect, at the start of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. This is very good if you're if you're playing a very demon-heavy Warlock. And there are not a lot of those, because Warlock kind of, right now, plays decks with a few key demons that can be summoned back with Gul'dan later on in the match. But Skull of Man'ari can essentially allow you to play a much heavier demon-locked deck and cheat out demons that have some severe drawbacks. And I actually think this is a powerful card. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't want to cheat. No, I mean, this straight up cheats things out, actively. Yeah, they'll probably try to destroy Skull of Man'ari, but that means they're wasting that on the card, and yeah, okay, it's start of your turn, but there are ways that if you build a deck around summoning a bunch of demons, and having Skull of the Minari, you're probably also going to include ways to get your weapon back. With Rummaging Kobold. I mean, pretty much I think if you're running Skull of the Minari, either you don't care and you can pretty much cheat the demons out easily and be able to control things, and you're probably running at least one Rummaging Kobold just to get this back. I think this is a decent card. I think this is a pretty good weapon for a heavier demon lock deck. Will Warlock run or not? It's up in the air, but I do think that they have the tools now to run things that they really want to, and they'll have to make the decision on what they want to get out. This being at the start of your turn is actually good. I mean, it's bad because that means that if they destroy it in between turns, it pretty much was a waste of 5 mana. But let's say that it pulled out a... Oh, crap. My brain.
Mal'Ganis.
Well, that's in Wild. I was thinking it's even Standard. What's the main demon?
Abyssal Enforcer?
No.
Or Doomguard?
Yeah,
Doomguard?
Yeah, the 5/7 or whatever, or the 5.
Yeah, that's a 5/7 demon.
Was it, the guy with charge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like you could cheat him out at the start of your turn, and then you basically just run him in, and then you still have mana to spend.
Yeah. Plus, you don't have that discard problem.
That is true. And like I said, this can bypass a lot of the downsides because most demons have downsides. This is a strong card, I think. Now, again will depend on removal, but just saying, well, everybody will be packing demon removal, will be packing weapon removal, so this is bad. Number one, you do have ways that if you really want to get the weapon back, you can get it back, aka Rummaging Kobold. Number two, nobody's going to be running all of the weapon removal. They might run 1, 2 tops. So they're not going to spend most of their deck slots just teching in weapon removal. If so, they're going to lose. Okay, number one. Number two, you are assuming they have the weapon removal when you play Skull of the Minari. It's essentially what I like to call the Flappy Bird fallacy. Basically, the Flappy Bird fallacy is, if you remember back during Journey to Un'Goro, everybody was saying that Vicious Fledgling was a bad card because there were so many cards, there are so many control cards that just outright killed it. It would never get its effect off because it'd have to go at the beginning of your turn. There was no way it was good. And yeah, it murdered everybody. So,
in Arena.
No, a little bit in Standard too.
Yeah, it did it in Standard as well because of...
Basically, the fallacy is, well, just because X exists means this card will not see play. When, of course, you're making the assumption that your opponent has that card either in their deck or they have it on hand when you play the card. Yes, if you play the card and then they have it, it feels bad, man. You know, it feels like you didn't make any... It feels like you made a bad tempo move. But if they do not have the card, which they probably won't most of the time, you are going to get some use out of this card. So I do think this is a good card for Warlock. If somebody wants to build a especially demon-heavy Warlock deck that goes into a Gul'dan endgame, I think this is a strong card for it. Just get more Warlocks on the field, and then you could just buff them and just have so much fun with them. I mean, and bypass the downsides. I think this is a strong weapon.
I am looking at this weapon, and while I see your points, I just look at it and I just go, depending on the demon that I want, that gets thrown out, if it survives for that matter, because it's the start of your turn. I look at it and I just say, okay, this can be good, but it has to survive that turn. Like, if this were a battle cry, summon a demon from your hand, I think it would be a little bit more like on the overpowered side. So,
can you imagine if you had this out and Kobold Trafficker? End of your turn, Kobold Trafficker puts a random demon in your hand. Beginning of your turn, it pulls that demon out. Rinse, wash, repeat, keep Trafficker alive, just go.
That is fair.
Hey,
It's just like,
and it pulls demons out for you, so at the beginning of your turn, you can just play Crystal Weaver and buff up your demons. I mean, there's a deck here.
There is a way to be able to do it.
I think it's just figuring it out.
Who breaks it? Yeah, let's see who breaks it and figures it out and cracks the code in a sense.
Yeah.
Because instead of spending my time with that card, I'm scooting over to Unstable Evolution. 1 cost, Shaman Epic. Transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more. Repeatable this turn. Now, I know I've already gotten to see it. I'm going to go ahead and just put it where it belongs. It is in the meta-defining spot. The reason I say this is because if for some reason you roll Evolve or somehow evolve with the Thrall, Deathseer, and then you have this to be able to just go, and I'm just going to keep pumping things up. If you're somehow able to make it to where it's just like you get the Sorcerer's Apprentice or the Radiant Elemental to where you can just go infinite with this bastard, this thing is good. But just being able to take potentially 1 minion and just blow all your mana on it and just go, and rank 10. Don't even care. I love it. I love it. I love it. Bob?
Yeah, I mean, by itself, it's a good card. You know, just being able to play it as many times as you want or need to in a turn. And like Eddie said, you get the right combination and just can go off. Oh my word, that would be a play to see. I can't wait to see those clips because it'll be nutty. So yeah, it's going to be a card that sees play. It is a meta-defining card. It can be a really exciting card. Am I going to play it? Heck no. I've sworn off Evolved decks because they just don't feel good for me. But that's just me. I think this is a good card. It's going to see play. Next up, we have Leyline Manipulator, which is a 4-cost, 4/5 Mage Elemental with the Battle Cry. If you're holding any cards that didn't start in your deck, reduce their cost by 2. This can be good in the right deck. What that deck is, I don't know, because everybody's going, well, Quest. And again, I'm at the same point that we've had this discussion before with Less Ruby Spellstone or I forget what the other one is that had to do with the elementals or whatnot. I think it was Less Ruby Spellstone. And now with this one, number one, if you try to do a combination of Elemental Quest, I'm not sure that works because Quest maybe it does work. Maybe it's a new type of Quest Mage, but normally Quest Mage has tended towards being a combo deck, and that means you really have to trim the fat with that deck. So the question is, does Leyline Manipulator fit into that deck? I'm not sure it does, or if you just want to go the long term. Does it fit in an Elemental deck? I'm not sure, because, yeah, you can create spells or cards that weren't in your hand before, but how much is it worth for you to reduce the cost by 2? And then again, it is an Elemental. It's a 4/5 Elemental. When do you play this? So, I don't know. I feel like this is a card I need to digest. I think this is a good card, but it's a good card in the right deck. The stats are awesome. The effect's pretty cool. Where does this go? I'm not sure. Maybe I do have a deck idea. I am going to be messing around with. I kind of saw them doing some nutty stuff. That I haven't been messing around with the idea. I'm not going to go into the deck now. I'm going to try to fine tune it. This may find its way into that deck. I'm not sure if this makes its way into my elemental deck. I think this will make its way into a lot of people's elemental decks. But the question is it because of the effect or the stat line? And if it's just for the stat line, is that going to be good enough when you can have other elementals that have lesser stat lines but better abilities? I don't know. We're going to see some interesting experimentation, I feel, at the beginning of this set. And I guess the question is, what sticks and what doesn't? Leyline Manipulator, I'm right on the edge. I'm not sure this fits into current builds of quests. It may or may not find ways into current builds of elemental decks, although I do think elemental mage decks will probably come more into prominence. It will probably start to change a little bit, and if so, Leyline Manipulator is going to be a key part in that deck. And I feel it might make its home into a more casino-y or bigger mage deck, to which this expansion is kind of giving you some tools to kind of come back into standard. So, I don't know. This is a card I'm going to experiment with. I think it's good. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be played yet. I know it will be played. And I'm interested to see what people do with this.
You good?
Yeah.
Alright, if anything for me, I love it. I bloody love this card. Because, you know me. I stated it like right from the beginning when I saw the Ruby Spellstone, before I even saw any of the other mage spells. I was like, Elemental Quest Mage, let's do it, let's go.
Again, my question though is, how does that deck work? Because it can't work as your standard combo deck. There's no way it can work like that.
It works. I promise you. Either Toast will do it, or I will find a way to do it. Because it's just like, you can't not, with all this nice, nifty stuff that we've gotten from this set, not look at it and just go, give me. And we're going to make this go bonkers and have fun. And it's just, people are probably going to complain and, whine about Quest Mage being super OP. But it's just like, yo, it's been kind of building for a while. And it's need a few tipping cards. And I think, if anything, we've gotten those few tipping cards.
Again, I'm not sure, but, that's just me. Because like I said, I don't think this fits into what its game plan is now. Now, does that mean that we're going to see a shift from a more combo-oriented Quest Mage deck to a more mid-range style Quest Mage deck with a different win con? Maybe. But I think the thing is, the idea of, we'll just throw all this bonker stuff in, it'll be good, doesn't always work. Especially in a combo deck. And that's what I've been bringing up with Quest Mage. It's a combo deck. So the question is, does this fit in when your goal is to, let me get this combo and go? Because a lot of people are being reminded of the Rogue Minion. I mean, it can be powerful in the right deck, but it's not every deck. But like I said, I'm interested in how you go about this, but I'm going to just go out on a limb and say it's not going to be a combo deck.
People will figure things out.
And if you think it's going to be a combo deck, yeah, you're drunk.
I don't have any alcohol, Bob. I can't drink. Even though I want to. I'm going to move on to Evasion. 2 cost. Rogue Epic. It is the last secret of the bunch. It's after your hero takes damage, become immune this turn. Interesting. It still gives you that whole thing of the double. So you're getting Ice Block, in a sense, because, whoop, I become immune. And you get, like, Valera's Death Knight. Just, I'm gonna hide. Stealth.
It's not stealth. It's the same thing as what Ice Block does, make you immune.
Eddie drunk so much. But still, if anything, it is kind of like Ice Block, so it's just like, yeah, I can see it. I can see Rogues playing it a good bit. So, Thing
is, it's like Ice Block, but it's not like Ice Block, because Ice Block just prevents death. this does not prevent death. Which means if you have enough power in one minion to just hit and kill them, or just enough damage just in one hit to kill them, Evasion does diddly squat. Also, unlike Ice Block, you just can't put it down and just go, I'm good, because pretty much just like, they can just hit you the next turn, and boop, you wasted it. So essentially, this is a card you have to be very strategic about when you put it down. And you have to know that they can't kill you in just one fell swoop with one minion. So you have to be, unlike Ice Block, where you put it up and, you know, it's ended by your time, Evasion, you kind of have to think about when you put this down. This might buy you one turn if you put it down at the right time. So you might not always want to put it down when you're about to die. You might want to decide to put it down on other turns where you need to buy time, and you know they'll attack once, and you'll kind of be immune, and that can buy you time for your next turn. So the uses between this and Ice Block are actually very different. It's incredibly powerful. It can be used in a similar manner to Ice Block, but there are key differences that make it actually different and more strategic than Ice Block, which I think is what's drawing a lot of players' attentions. Is that it's not a place and forget about card and it protects you from just protects you from death. It's a I have to think about when I want to put this down type of secret, and it can protect me from death if I do put it down at the right time, and if my opponent can't just kill me with one thing. So this is a very good secret. I thought that all of the rogue secrets have been very good. I'm going to definitely be playing around with them after, when the expansion hits, and I'm kind of excited to see what happens. This will be meta-defining. If none of the other secrets are meta-defining, this one will be. So I'm looking forward to it. So next up, we have Furbolg Mossbinder. It's a 5-cost 1/1 with Battle Cry. Transform a friendly minion into a 6/6 elemental. Alright. Maybe Evolved Shaman plays this, although when you have a Doppelgangster, that might make that unlikely. I really can't see this being played in almost anything else, because it's a 5-cost 1/1, it transforms a friendly minion into a 6/6 elemental, but then again, you might not have a friendly minion or want a friendly minion to transform into a 6/6 elemental. In Shaman, this can be good if you have the room for it. But in other decks, I'm not sure this finds a place. You would rather summon the 6/6, not transform something else that you might actually want into a 6/6. So you almost have to build your deck around this, and there's not many decks other than, again, Shaman, that build their decks in such a way. So my thoughts are that if Shaman in general, or Evolved Shaman, doesn't play this card, then this card just won't see play.
I look at this and I just go, and I hear the whole, say hello to my little friend. Hello. But at 5. And you're just looking at one of your friendlier minions and just going, I need you bigger. Or, you punch that, you give it damage, and then you be bigger. And again, hello. So it's just like, I don't think this sees play. And that's where I put it.
Yeah, because you're going, it just needs to be bigger. My thing is, yeah, but if you put the minion in your deck in the first place, that means you kind of want it for its effect. And the thing about the other card is that it summons a new minion, it doesn't transform a new minion, and that just makes this weaker. So I think it's good we agree on this.
Yeah. Next up, we have Unidentified Shield. It is a 6-cost warrior spell where you gain 5 armor, and you gain a bonus effect in the hand. And those bonus effects are Tower Shield, plus 10, which is, of course, gain 10 more armor. Serrated Shield, where you gain 5 armor and deal 5 damage. Ruined Shield, gain 5 armor and summon a 5/5 Golem. And Spiked Shield, gain 5 armor and equip a 5/2 weapon. This is good. just flat out good. Like, I take a look at Serrated Shield and Tower Shield as my two personal favorites. Because it's like, alright, 15 armor in 1 6 cost? Sweet. Being able to just do like a Firelands portal effect for 6, bar summoning the minion. Sweet. Ball, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, a lot of people are going, oh, this sucks. I'm going, seriously? All of the effects here are good. Number 1, gain 5 armor is decent. If it was just gain 5 armor, yeah, it sucks for costing 6. But there's always an effect. 15 armor for 6 is incredible. 5 armor, 5 damage is similar to Holy Fire, which costs 6, so basically the cost is right in line. Rune Shield is essentially a Shield Maiden, which costs 6, and everybody played that anyway. And then a 5/2 weapon for 6, and you gain 5 armor, that's actually just good. And here's the problem. People are getting caught up on 5 armor going, well, Ironhide gives you 5 armor and it costs 1. Here's the thing. Armorhide is an anomaly of a card. 5 armor does not cost 1 mana. Basically, if you want to know the cost of armor, you need to think about your hero power. 2 armor, 2 mana. That's essentially it. So basically that's your baseline, and 5 armor plus a thing for 6 is just incredibly strong. If you are playing a slower warrior type deck, or a control warrior type deck, you play this card. You are guaranteed 5 armor, and you are going to do something. So, I mean, that's just incredible. And, yeah, this will see play. So next up, we have Deck of Wonders, which is a 5-cost mage spell that shovels 5 scrolls into your deck. When drawn, they cast a random spell. And of course, you draw them, they cast a random spell, and then, you draw another card. So essentially, it's 3 Yogg effects in your deck, because basically these get drawn, and then it's a random spell in the game, and the targets are random. That sounds bad, but number 1, 3 in your deck that can come out at any time when you draw a card. So it can be random. It can come out at just the right time. And number 2, I have to think back to Yogg Saron, whose random effects actually a lot of the times ended up helping you a bit more. It was more likely to help you or just be neutral than it was to hurt you. Yes, so putting just 3 random effects. This isn't like this isn't pulling a card out of your deck and just casting it randomly. Like what's his name? Let me get the name real quick. It's not doing it like Grand Archivist. So it just randomly casts a random spell like Yogg, and then you just continue on. And yeah, this could hurt you, but also it can help you. I would say you're going to be putting this in your deck for a similar reason you put Yogg in your deck. It's a way to essentially to pretty much help you out of a potential tricky situation down the road. Now you have no control over when this comes out, but given the vast array of random things, yeah, it could suck, but it could also really benefit you. So I think that a lot of people may consider this worth the risk. I know I'm interested in this card. I'm going to be messing around with it. I'm definitely going to be messing around and consider playing this. So I actually think it's good in the right deck, especially in a mage deck. I'm kind of theory crafting in my head right now. But I do think this is a very strong card, and I do think it will see some degree of play. And I don't think it's going to be a widely played card, but I think it will see some degree of play. I don't think the effect is that monumentally bad that it won't see play. I think it's actually similar to Yogg, where I think it might surprise people about how useful it can be.
I'm shuffling 5 scrolls into my own deck, and then when I draw, I cast a random spell. Hello, Casino Mage, if anything. I don't know if this counts towards Yogg's stuff or not, but let me, just to be safe, on the clarification side. Okay. if anything, with this, it does, I would say, it does count because it casts random spell. It basically does do the Yogg effect, 4/5, and you can draw a card with it. So it's just like, I love the fact that I can also pick my targets. So it's like, oh, I get Shadow Word Death. That thing. It's not a random target.
Where does it say pick that you can pick your targets?
Pardon me, you can't.
You can't. It's a Yogg deck. It's Yogg in card form. Which I guess was like regular Yogg, but still.
But yeah, the Deck of Wonders, lovely thing. I'm looking forward to play with it because, of course, you know, the Deck of Many Things.
Yeah, although knowing that means I'm going to draw the first card is just going to send me to a random dimension.
Fair. Just fair.
But yeah, I know that you weren't here to basically hear my thoughts, so just summed up is I think this is going to see more play than people think it will. And it's for similar reasons as for why Yogg was actually kind of good, is I think it's going to end up hashing out to either being beneficial or neutral more than it will be harmful.
Next up, we've got Drywhisker Armorer.
Actually, we have Reckless Flurry.
Oh, we do? Ah! Man, I skipped it! Fine. We'll go back to that one, and I'll give it to Ball because, yeah. So if anything, Reckless Fury. 3 costs, spend all your armor, deal that much damage to all minions. Finally, if anything, Warrior's got some badass AoE. Other than, you know, like your Whirlwind, and then Sleep with the Fishes combo, or Brawl. It's just, I look at my armor, I can destroy it, and I can just nuke the board. Okay! Just depends on when, how I want to do it. Control Warrior potentially could come back and see play and be a thing. I can get behind it. So, hey, Bulb, you're up.
Yeah, this is a decent AoE, a board cleared for Warrior, especially Control Warrior, because Warrior in general, you know, yeah, they'll spend all their armor, probably wipe the board, but they're more than capable enough to just build that armor back up. So, yeah, Reckless Flurry is just not really going to bother them, especially since Control Warrior really doesn't need winning a fatigue as a win condition. Let's be honest, it's a bad win condition. So encouraging them to use their resources in a way to control the board until they can get to the turning point is actually really good. So yeah, I think this is going to see play in a slower, more controlling Warrior deck. So next up, we have the card that Eddie's trying that he doesn't get to talk about, which is Drywhisker Armorer. It's a 2-cost 2/2 Warrior minion with a battle cry. For each enemy minion, gain 2 armor. And yeah, this actually could be a good way for a controller warrior or for a mid-range warrior to kind of combo things around to basically maybe build up onto that Reckless Flurry. I think this is a decent card. I guess the question is, depending on the tools that warrior has, you know, will this see play compared to them? Because a lot of people don't use Cold Apothecary, so it may run into trouble because it's similar in that regard. But with Warrior, I think they're more likely to use this to kind of gain armor up and then use that armor to do something really important. So, depending on the deck, this might see play. It just depends on what Warrior decks are going to want to be fitting into their deck. And if it's able to find and if depending on what the builds look like, this may find a home. If not, it's probably going to be a card that they will just cut.
If anything, I look at this and I go, you are a helper for making it to where Warrior can look at all these aggro decks and just go and not even care. If anything, I like it. I really, really like it. Alrighty then. We get to move on to the Elven Minstrel. It's a 3 cost.
No, it's not.
No, 4. 4 has to be attack. With 2 health, combo, draw 2 minions from your deck. This card's good. It's just, you gotta figure out how to combo it and then just, here, I get 2 minions. Woohoo! I think it does see play. Definitely in Arena. And I think it sees some play in Constructed. Bulb.
Yeah, I think it sees some play in Constructed as a good way to reload some minions to your hand, especially if you're a more aggressive rogue deck. For slow rogue decks, maybe to make sure you have some of the minions that you want to either control the board or set up some big swing turns. I just don't think it's going to see as much play in Standard as it will see elsewhere. Because I think that the stat line and everything's kind of weak. I think it can be good, but again, it depends on everything else that Rogue is running at the time, and they may decide just to forgo this. But being able to not only within your deck, but specifically get minions might just be a powerful enough effect just to run it. So I'm going to put it. Just wait and see. I'm not exactly excited about this card. I can see its usefulness. I'm not, but I'm also going. People may be hyping this card up more than it deserves. I just need to see how. It just depends on how the meta shapes up, because players might just go, "I'd rather run this over Minstrel. My deck wants to do this more, and I might just not have room for it." So I think it's a card that if you have a slot to use it, you put it in. So it's not a card you immediately look at of, this is going in the deck. It's a card that you go, well, I built the deck, I have some free space, and then you might consider it to basically get your minions if that's what your end goal is. Otherwise, you don't if you don't have the room, you don't make the room for this card. I don't think it's that important. I think that you can make decks that can do without this card. It just helps you out if you do happen to include the card, and that's your goal. Next up, we have Ixlid Fungal Lord. He's the Druid legendary. He's a 5-cost 2/4 elemental with the effect, after you play a minion, summon a copy of it. And Wild, this thing can be nutty. Especially, there are certain decks in Wild. I'm thinking any sort of Aviana deck, or if you can cheat out Malygos, or basically be able to play a Malygos deck. I think that there are certain type of combo decks and certain type of bigger minion decks, especially in Wild, that has the tools, that Ixlid could be a good addition. In Standard, I'm not sure. That's a pretty weak stat line. Unless you play this and play something else, I don't see how this is going to help you. Again, you kind of have to set up the perfect combo, and I'm not sure. Maybe Malygos Druid can find a way to come back if you can do it correctly, but it's going to require so much setup, and I know that's what combo players love. But outside of that, I'm just not seeing it. Eddie?
Just It's the best I got right now. Cause I know the combo that people have just kind of thrown out there for it. And I'm just not sold. At all. So it's just, Possess Lackey. 5-cost, 2/2. Warlock. Card, Death Rattle, recruit a demon. Okay. depending on what comes out of the deck, just, okay. Bulb?
I mean, yeah, you can cheat out a demon in the hypothetical demon deck I was giving. And at first I was kind of like, oh, this is a good card, and then I went, wait a minute. It's a Death Rattle. It's a 5-cost Death Rattle. That changes things a lot. If this was a 5-cost 2/2 with a Battle Cry, I would feel that might be excusable, but with Death Rattle, I think that might hurt the card. I really do. Battle Cry, you go, okay, 5 cost, it's understated, but it's powerful. Death Rattle, you're going, it's understated, and I hope it dies. I probably should have put a better card in the deck. So I think the Death Rattle kills this card. Because of the Death Rattle, I don't think it's good. Next up, we have Val'anyr, which is the 6-cost, it's the Paladin legendary weapon. It's 6 cost, 4/2, Death Rattle. Give a minion in your hand, +4/+2. When it dies, re-equip this. So essentially, what happens is you equip this weapon. You attack with it. When you use up all of its durability, you essentially hand it to a minion. Then the minion gets to use it until they die, and then you re-equip the weapon again, and you do it all over again. This is good. This is really good. Yeah, you're going, well, it's 4, there's already a 4/2 weapon for Paladin, and it costs 4, and you get lifesteal. But yeah, this is the weapon that won't die. Because essentially, if your opponent kills it, it equips to a minion. They have to essentially silence that minion or something. And yes, people are running silence effects, but Paladin has so many things that already need silence effects. It's not going to be very hard for you to tease out any silence effect your opponent has, and then play the Val'anyr combo, and just keep Val'anyr, and just keep hammering away. Especially with the heals Paladin has, this is incredibly strong. I think this is potentially meta-defining. This is a very strong weapon. I'm really interested to see what happens, and we'll see what. I'm kind of excited here.
I said it earlier, I'm saying it again at this point, because it's got to be stated. If anything, Paladin, baby, I'm coming home. I need this weapon. It is a meta-defining weapon. Like,
he's coming home, coming home. Tell Uther he's coming home.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got to get gold in Paladin. So it's just like, just gimme. Gimme. Next up, we have Lesser Emerald Spellstone. 5-cost Hunter Spellstone. The first part is you get to summon 2 3/3 wolves. You play a secret to upgrade it. And then, as you play more secrets, you get more wolves, of course. For 1 secret, you get 3 3/3 wolves, and then for 2 secrets, you get 4 3/3 wolves. You're trying to make Secret Hunter a thing? And in that same vein, there's going to be some cards we get to later to where you're making it to where you want to have a purely spell-based Hunter deck? Why? I look at this, if anything, if you want to try to play Secret Hunter, or you want to play it to where you just flood the board with beasts and just keep your board just active, this is a good card. I'm gonna throw it to Bulb.
Yeah, definitely if you're playing a Secret Hunter, you play this. But even then, I think even regular Hunters might play just enough Secrets to at least upgrade at one time, in which case it's decent. Again, the question is, do they run it or not? I'm not sure. This might give them enough of a board swing where they might consider running it. Overall, looking at all the Spellstones, and there's some that we haven't gone to yet, I think this is probably the weakest of the Spellstones. But that's still saying something, that I still think this is good. It's not as good as some of the other Spellstones, but it's good. It gives Hunter what it wants, which is board control, essentially. And, you know, it's actually, when you look at the conditions, it's fairly easy to upgrade. The 5 cost is actually not overpriced or anything, so yeah, it's good. I think it will see at least some degree of play. Next up, we have the Lesser Diamond Spellstone, which is the Priest Spellstone. It costs 7. The regular effect is you resurrect 2 different friendly minions. You have to cast 4 spells to upgrade it. Okay, so when you upgrade to the Diamond Spellstone, you can resurrect 3 different friendly minions, and then the final form is you resurrect 4 different friendly minions. This is a very expensive spell, and it makes sense because you're not only resurrecting random minions, but different random minions, which means a lot in something like maybe Big Priest, or a Priest where you have specific bigger minions, or specific minions you want to get out. Now, that being said, the upgrade cost is a little steep because casting 4 spells to upgrade it, unless you're a Lyra deck, it can be very hard for Priests to do. A lot of their spells are conditional; they're controlling type spells, which means if they don't have anything to cast anything on, it's going to be very hard to pull off. So, chances are most of the time you're going to have a hard time upgrading this if you do at all. So I guess the question is resurrecting 2 different friendly minions worth it? In Big Priest, I think the answer is absolutely yes. In other Priests, I don't think so. And then if you're playing like a Lyra type Priest deck, do you even want this? I mean, maybe you have run 1 copy, you keep it in your hand when you do your Lyra turns, and just go nuts so that it upgrades, so that maybe when Lyra dies, you can resurrect and get Lyra back. But that's the only reason I would see you running it into Lyra type deck. I'm not sure that even Razaka's Priest would consider running it, because they're more interested in pinging you down. And again, they're not going to be able to really upgrade it as efficiently as some other Priest decks. So I think this is very hard to upgrade. It's a powerful effect, and I think certain Priest decks will run it, but I think that this might not see a lot of play outside of those specific Priest decks.
I agree on a lot of those points. Because, like, I'm looking at this and I'm just going, alright, I get to revive. If I'm playing Big Priest, I get to revive whatever the heck comes out. So it's just like, with that deck already being spell heavy, for the most part. So, you just go, alright, 4 spells and I got this in my hand? Alright, cool. Dunk, dunk, dunk. Like, I'm already looking at this in Wild and I'm going, I like it. On the standard side of things, you could potentially, like, if you really want to be that guy, you could play it in, Razaka's, but I doubt it. So, if anything, yeah.
And that is all for this edition of Travelers In. We will see you next time. We have a lot more cards to discover, so we'll see you then.